A very good day to you. Welcome to our program on television, Parliament and Governance. My name is Evan Sunokoge. You do know that Parliament and Governance is a program that comes away every week, and we talk about a whole lot. We'll talk about economic issues, political issues, and of course issues that ordinarily we enlighten you. So today on Parliament and Governance, we are going to be looking at the issue of oil thefts in the Niger Delta and of course in Nigeria. Well, just to get you acquainted with some of the headlines, we understand that crude oil thefts in Niger Delta and Nigeria has assumed a worrisome dimension. And of course, the country is losing huge earnings and failed to meet the quota allocated by the OPEC. The pipeline of those around Bonnet Terminal cannot function due to the activities of criminals. And we're also told that about 5 to 20% of Nigeria's oil is stolen. And also, too, the Trans-Niger pipeline, which can transport about 180,000 barrels a day. That's about 16 of the country's current production suffers so much because of oil theft, and it has been halted. Now, also recently, we also understand that the Nigeria Senate had to come together to ensure that they intervene. But the big question is, to what extent is the Senate's intervention going to curb the issue of oil theft in the Niger Delta and, of course, in Nigeria as a whole? Well, to look at all this today, we are so privileged to have a foremost human rights activist and, of course, a public affairs analyst. We're talking about Solomon Idiogbe. Solomon Idiogbe, welcome to the program Parliament and Governance. All right, so just as we said that the issue of oil theft in the country has assumed a worrisome dimension, we understand that even up to the tune of about $700 million is said to be lost every month as a result of oil theft in the Niger Delta and in Nigeria. The Senate is trying to intervene now, but the big question is, to what extent is the Senate intervention going to curb oil theft in the country?
Oil theft is not a new thing in Nigeria. It's a normal, because even the government itself is involved. When you look at the issue of...
The government is involved?
Of course. Look, I cannot steal press items if I'm not a pressman. What killed Ken Saro-Wiwa? Was it not the issue of oil theft and decadence as it created in the area of the Niger Delta?
When you say the government is involved, do you have
I'll tell you this. Yes, let me say why I said government is involved. If you look at how the expatriates came into the Niger Delta to scoop our oil in the name of oil exploration, the reactions of the likes of Ken Saro-Wiwa and others over the problems it has caused in the Niger Delta, in the area of oil spillage and all that, you understand that they did not do well in managing the economy factor, human resource, public-private partnership, responsibility of oil companies to its local area. That is what resulted into the insurgents that bettered the Niger Delta struggle. So if government had acted well, would there have been insurgents in the first instance if all the blueprints and the agreements were effectively carried out? So I would tell you, when I said government is involved, I mean government is involved. For instance, what is supposed to be derivable by the Niger Deltans are not derived by the Niger Deltans, but the governments are taking them. Are they not also? Because it's an action that bettered a reaction. Now, when you talk about, there was a time in 2005, late Douglas Oroto took us to Akwa Ibom for a youth summit. And then he talked about how the oil spillage, how the oil exploration started, how the government deceived the leadership of the Niger Delta, gathered the chiefs and kings within the Niger Delta, gave them a crumbs of the originals of what they were deriving, and then they helped them to deceive their people. How they created, for instance, created a local government in a minority locality and took advantage of it, creating ethnic wars among the ethnic people of these areas, so that as they fought, they had the privilege of running into their land and scooping their oil. You understand? So that's why I said government is involved. Because if government had done well in the very first instance, no expatriate. In fact, Europeans cannot come to Nigeria to do anything without first reaching the Norman agreement. And when the agreements are not carried out, is it the citizens who drive the process, or the government who is supposed to call them to order based on the MOU?
Yeah, but the government is doing its best. I mean, we have so many government agencies.
Now look at the issue between Tompolo and Asari Dokubo. The federal government's approval for
an oil well,
and all that, given to Tompolo and all that, protection and whatever. What are we talking about? Is that not a signal to the fact that the security agencies within the Niger Delta has failed?
Now, did you bother to find out why some oil wells were given to Tompolo?
No, look, listen.
Because Tompolo is probably one of the individuals that understand.
The same thing, the same mistake Good luck Ebele Jonathan did, giving him the waterways monitoring when we had the Nigerian Navy. At the point it became clear that it was Tompolo who now went to buy gunboats and all that was supposed to be done by the Nigerian government and the Nigerian Navy. We're saying the same thing. It's complexity.
All right, but
it's when you say involvement, whether directly or indirectly, it's involvement. Right, so now, taking us to where we are, the intervention of the Senate or the National Assembly to me means nothing. You know why? How can a Senate or a National Assembly or a National House of Reps, as it were, now pass a law they call the Petroleum Industry Act?
Bill, yeah.
You know, they haven't left a bill and it's now an act. And you are giving what's supposed to be the derivables of the Niger Deltans to the northeast and the northwest in the name of trying to get what do oil exploration.
Are you saying that is probably one of the reasons?
It's a part of the problem. Look, you cannot have a pig farm in your house, and then you struggle to cater for the pig, but another person take the juicy part of the produce of the pig farm. Now, because in the end, the Niger Deltans suffers oil spillage, their waters are not drinkable, there is no school, no good roads, no electricity. The same waters they defecate on are from the same water they fetch to drink and take their bath. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Okay, but we understand, just as we're trying to say here, that the Senate has actually set up an ad hoc committee to look at ways at which the issue of oil thefts can really be curbed in the Niger Delta. Now, the chairman of the committee, Wan Basi Akman, answering questions recently, said that the committee is going to go through various oil regions, oil terminals in the country to actually investigate what are the issues. Now, we are talking about the Petroleum Industry Bill, the Industry Act that you talked about. Now, we know how many decades it took the nation for us to eventually come to have that bill. So, if we are saying that from the way it is now, that act seems not to favor the Niger Deltans. Are we looking at the possibility of going back to maybe to kind of amend that act? Do we have the time?
The cry for the amendment has long been overdue. The cry for the amendment, started even before it was passed into an act, when it was still a bill. But having said that, the issue here is that the Senate actually does not mean well. Look at the issue of Senate saying they wanted to, or the National Assembly, for instance, wanted to impeach Mr. President.
When you say the Senate doesn't mean well, what do you expect the Senate to do?
No, for instance, I'll give you very clear examples. It was in this country we started the issue of Electoral Act and the amendments that followed. You saw all the brouhaha, all the saga that followed, all the ratings of the National Assembly, how they were going to override the assents of Mr. President. Did he hold water? It's in this country. We also saw the Senate woke up one day and said they were going to probe in the name of impeachment Mr. President. Did it go anywhere? It can only work if it is not affecting the executive. Let's not make sense about it. The executive in Nigeria controls the legislative, if you like, legislative arm, and the judiciary of this country. So they barely cannot do anything or do nothing, you know, when it comes to the issue. They're talking about setting up committee. Look, how many southerners in the south Nigeria, those whose lands are being, you know, damaged, are owners of the oil wells? How many?
Is that the reason why?
Who allocates? These are part of the problem. These are part of the agitations of the Niger Deltans. How many Southerners have access to this oil well?
Now,
how many of them? How many of the companies?
Solomon Idugbe, have you also taken time to actually see that the activities of these oil thieves, that somehow they have more great danger than the oil that is still? I mean, take, for example, oil spillage and all that. Now, for oil thieves, when they destroy pipelines and all that, at the end of the day, these pipelines, they go damaged, the crude oil spill out, you know, damaging the soil, in some cases, farmlands and all that. So these oil thieves, why don't you think they should know that their activities is doing more of harm to them than good?
You see, let me tell you. The problem, I don't know if you watched Coming to America.
I did.
And, okay, let me know. There's another film acted by this man who acted Coming to America. Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Where he started stealing properties that were supposed to be his. You understand? And on the point they get to make him understand that they were his. Now, Nigerian government have not been able to imbibe in the Nigerian people that this property belonged to them. Now, as part of the lectures we got in 2005 from Roto Douglas, was to the effect that when the Niger Deltans went to do 1 million march for late General Sani Abacha, they saw that there were bridges where there were no river, whereas there were no bridges where there were river. You understand? And then when they kept asking, why are we not having this? They said it's in a pipeline. And then that's how the Niger Deltans moved to the creek.
They started destroying the pipelines.
You know, destroying.
Yeah, but the question...
I'm going somewhere.
Yeah.
The point is this. If you give the people good roads, you give them electricity, you give them pipe-borne water, you give them good schools, and you make them understand that these things are derived from this oil well and this oil exploration done in your land, I'm sure they will protect it because they will need more of it. But when they do not get good roads, there's no good health center, not to talk of hospital. There's no electricity, no nothing, no basic amenities to cushion the hardship of the Niger Deltans. My brother, and they are able to bust a pipeline and make fortune from it. It will be difficult to stop them from busting the pipelines, because in one scoop, they are able to buy a car, they are able to remove their family from plenary, for instance. You understand? These are part of the things. That's why I said federal government is involved. If you are able to do what is right to the people of the Niger Delta, I'm sure the issue, look at it. You are not able to fix your refinery, for instance. For years, so much money have been wasted in the attempt of trying to survey and redefine the refineries and refine them, as it were. At a point, attempts are made to sell them and all that. Now look at it, Evans. Yet, the locals are doing local refinery, and they are making product out of them. And you are going there to damage it. Now, these local refineries produce fuel and gas that they use in the creek and in those regions.
They are destroying their ecosystem.
They're destroying the ecosystem. The government is doing what? Now, see, let me tell you. Let me tell you.
And
what I
expected.
But the waters, they spillage into the waters as a result of burst pipes, not even as a result of oil theft. Sometimes there are rupture emanating from over long refusal to service their pipelines. And there's rupture.
But
and then there's a
spillage. You and I know that the refineries are not working. So
no, but you are able to, refineries are not working, but you are able to channel this crude from the south to the north. My brother, why are we deceiving ourselves? Who are we deceiving? It's not working here. But you can pipe them, the crude, to the north. What are we talking about?
Now, recent investigation shows that oil bunkers, they go to the terminals, the pipeline terminals to
are these terminals
pipelines.
now? You see, when I say government is involved, are these terminals by budgets? Go and check NNPC and the subsidiary analysis. They are monitored. There are trackers. Who stops them? Now, have you ever traveled on this east-west road at night? Evans, if you travel there, you know there's a lot of corruption in Nigeria. People carry kerosene, crude. Look, when you are coming from, for instance, let me say from Port Harcourt, you are going to pass over 15 checkpoints of both army and police and civil defense. Do you know majorly, it is the civil defense who does protection of critical infrastructure.
Infrastructures such as pipelines.
Yeah, and pipeline and whatever.
Yeah.
But they're on the road. They'll collect their egunje and allow this truck pass. It is only those who do not settle, you understand, that find their way to docking.
Let me tell you. See, I have corrupt members of the civil defense now, because
see, I'm going somewhere. I have traveled. See, I'm not saying all.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Yeah. Even in establishment, there are corrupt members. But you can solve it. When their salaries are not coming as and when due, when their welfare packages are not encouraging, what do you expect them to get? Now, I'll tell you this. This is what played. I traveled in one vehicle one night from Warri. Do you know, between Warri and bypass, we passed over 18 to 20 checkpoints, which included army and police. Army, in the vehicle, because I saw the man spraying perfume. He packs spray perfume. So I was trying to know that, and I discovered they had tied kerosene inside. Mona no vessel. He gets there. Police, I think police was 1,000 naira. Army was 3,000 naira. Civil defense was 2,000 naira. For every of the checkpoints, you know, he gets to, depending on which of the agency. And now, it was my duty to have stopped them and say, but they knew, say, not plenty today, and I just want now carry. This one menu. He said, no. I don't know if you understand.
Were you sure of the contents inside?
I'm not speculating. I was in the bus. The two back. What's it called?
Your bus was behind the
bus. It was this normal bus.
Okay.
They removed the chairs, the two chairs at the back, hung them on the roof.
Were you part of the bunkers?
I was traveling from. I didn't drive. Okay. I came in from Port Harcourt late. Okay. I stopped at a full roundabout and I boarded the bus. You understand? I boarded that bus. I was in the front seat. You understand? But I saw them loading items. I didn't until we started moving. You know, you perceive the smell. They were tied in cellophane before they tied them in bags and all that. But the point I'm making is that one would have expected that because Solomon Dogbe was in that vehicle, he would report to the police. We got to police checkpoints and they were collecting their goods. It's not like they didn't know. They were negotiating and saying, he said, no, not many today. And I know. And what were you expecting me to do at that point? We got to Army checkpoint and I was expecting, and I said, they know the, I say, no, the person paying. I said, no, they know now, all of us know now. This country not good now. Now they say, we know the feedback kerosene for Benin. And the owner was in the vehicle. Now, the point is this. Where I'm going is that when you now sit down and ask, why would police be collecting bribe on the way when they're supposed to arrest this?
Anyway,
have you gone to check the police
their
salary structure, what they take home at the end of the day? Have you gone to check their barracks?
Solomon, we also need to be careful with that, because not all the policemen.
I'm not saying all. I quoted police because I saw. I'm not speculating. I quoted army. And I quoted civil defense. These were the three agencies I saw on the road. Okay. So that goes back to show, are these not governments? Or are their own rights? They're governments. Their duty is to ensure that nothing of such happens on that road. But it does. It does. Now, what about the agencies of government, the one you call NNPC and all that? You know, now it was in this country, they brought bad fuel. Exported though, for instance. The fuel left the shores of the other country. Now, if you don't know, I'll tell you. Once oil gets to the shores of Nigeria as exported oil, you have SON, that's Standard Organization of Nigeria, you have NAFDAC, you have all the agencies of government who are supposed to perform the normal tests. And then you have the DPRO and all of that who are supposed to take samples and ensure. I don't know if you get it.
I understand what you're saying.
In the end, this fuel found its way to filling stations and started knocking people's vehicles. And then government came, NAPC and federal government came and said they needed the Senate to approve billions of naira for them to clean up those tanks and create. What about these people's vehicles? So the point takes us back that government is involved. Yeah,
Solomon, you let us be careful with the way we say that our government is involved because it's look as if government is not doing the needful. You said a while ago.
Evans, I said directly or indirectly.
You hold on now. A while ago, you owned up that even the government agencies, that not all the government agencies partake in some of these crimes. No, of course. That's what you said. So if we know, we cannot say that the government is involved. Just like what I told you, that the Senate, has set up a committee to investigate what is actually going on.
Eva, can I give you an assurance?
And for them to do that, they are starting off by visiting oil terminals.
Evans, can I tell you what it's all about? It's about collecting Ghana must go.
You cannot say so.
No. Evans, can we take today's date?
You cannot say so.
Can we take today's date and time and come back another 2 months and let's review it? You will see that nothing, obviously nothing is coming. Because of that, what they want to do by visitation of oil wells is that the owner of those oil wells must graze hand to ensure that to say everything is well, and in the end, you may not even see a blue paper, a white paper, a green paper, as the case may be. You understand?
Right, so
that's the problem. Now. That's the problem. One would have expected that when you hear that a Senate committee is set up to look into the matter, you'll be glad that it's a representation of the people from the different constituents that make up Nigeria. And they are going to look at the issues very critically. Now it's no longer an executive thing. But I can assure you that they will also go there and take their own share of the national
No, you cannot say so because you are not part of the Senate. So let's hold on.
We know today's date to be Wednesday, 14th September.
Yeah, but let us give the Senate committee benefit of the doubt. Let's give them. You have to give them benefit of the doubt. Now, just as what we said here a while ago, we're trying to look at some facts about oil thefts in the country. And I told you that the federal government has owned up that a total 13.21 million barrels of oil has been stolen. It has been stolen for this year, 2022 alone. And the total amount of that is 603.64 billion naira that has amounted from the crude oil that has been stolen from the country. And also, we also understand that recently the NNPC, that's the NNPCL now, that's the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, has said, that's on September 11th, said that it's losing about 470,000 barrels per day of crude oil, amounting to $700 million monthly due to oil theft. Now, Solomon Idiogbe, this is big amounts of money.
Huge.
Nigeria is a country that we are crying that our revenue, internally generated revenue, and even revenue from crude oil is not enough. And yet we still have some Nigerians stealing. Can't we have a rethink so that at the end of the day, ultimately, this whole thing will be for our own benefit?
Can't the federal government, the Senate, governors and members of the Houses of Assembly also do a rethink? The federal
government, the Senate and members of the Houses of Assembly, they are not responsible for oil bunkering.
No.
They don't destroy the pipelines.
No, they don't destroy pipelines.
But
their actions are directed, or a direct pointer to why you have oil bunkering.
Anyway, which
theft.
way should we go? What do you think?
The way we should go is that let the people own this whole thing. When I say own, of course, it's not necessarily that the people should be the owner of the oil wells.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is that let it be a participatory government.
Okay.
Let the people know, understand, give them the basic amenities that they need. When they get it, they will not, you say you cannot steal what you already own.
Okay. All right,
you
so
understand?
The people should be given a sense of belonging.
Let them have a sense of belonging.
Especially the Niger Delta.
Exactly. Let them, because the problem where you have, you see, let me tell you.
I'm afraid because of time.
Do you remember that there was a time Chief Onanafe Ibori was to be arrested in Ugara. Do you remember what happened? The people of Ugara came out en masse, protected and shielded him from being arrested. You know why? They benefited immensely. Whether you call it loot, whether you call it stealing,
that's not what we're talking about.
No, I'm giving you an instance because when the people, I'm not encouraging criminality.
All right, viewers out there, that's all time we permit us to take today on the program Parliament and Governance, where we'll look at activities at the Nigerian Parliament, the Senate, the Federal House. I was talking about the House of Representatives, how the activities there impact or influence governance in the country. My name is Evan Sunokoge. Until September on the program Parliament and Governance, we should be able to bring some of the another guest here so that we can talk about issues. Solomon, thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for finding time to come on the program. Thank you so much.
The clerk will read out the names.